Good morning, everyone. Let's get all the alerts out for the stream. Beautiful. All right, we're all set. Good morning, Pit T. Z, Rocky Trades. Mark, how you doing? Dare Maximus, what's going on? Let's get the right screen up. Beautiful. Did anyone know that we had CPI this morning? If you're just looking at the charts, probably not. Could have fooled me. I had no idea that. I mean, I knew that we had CPI this morning. I knew that it was coming out, but that made no difference to me that we actually are looking at a chart that we had a larger candle at 4 o'clock than we did for 8:30. It's pretty funny. Let's get the media back up here. Thoughts on funding next flex plan? $69 for a 50K account, 2,500 profit target, 1,500 drawdown. I'm actually going to look into those coming up because they did reach out to me for a partnership of some kind. I just have to see what the stipulations to it are. But I am going to look into those funded next accounts. I think it's only 69 for the first 5 though, and then also with those accounts, PIT, you have to pay to add on a pretty significant amount of like you go in CPY. Yeah, I know. You go and add on another $15 for another 10% profit split. I don't think I think it's good, but I don't think it's terribly good because of all the add-ons. It's cheap, but it's expensive at the same time because you have to go and pay to get another 10% profit split, so another like $200 when you go and take a payout. I think they're good though. 80/20 is fine with me. $15 to make 90/10. Is there an add-on for daily loss limit too? In MLO? So I know my funded futures did that. I think they'll still be good. I think it's a good account plan. It doesn't have a DLL. Oh, that's good then. I like that even more. I'll have to look into them a little bit more. They do have there's someone reaching out with all the rules later on. Their 25K accounts are a true 1-1, 1,500 profit, 1,500 drawdown. Do you know what the max payouts on them are? We were so close to having a previous day in London gap. YQQQ usually has gaps, but MES and MNQ don't. MES and MNQ trade all night, so there's technically never a gap on those, ever. No, they're in this chat, Rocky. It's a multi-stream, so there's chats coming in from 3 different YouTubes at the same time, or 2 different YouTubes, and then X and Discord as well. Dan Akron, what's going on? We do have Dan Cook joining us later on today. Exciting enough. Hope you guys are prepared for that. It'll be a fun little addition. Oh yeah, no, it's just 9/11. I haven't covered the plans for today. I will in another couple minutes. I'm just saying hello to everyone. Very nice. You left the position running overnight. Aggressive. I'm in Maine, Dan. I had some. I didn't really want to play shorts. I got really unlucky last night. I think we had news again for the unfortunate IB. It was looking incredible. It was looking so good to go and take the IB to the correct range, and then it just died, sadly. Yeah, definitely. Not really much we can do with the volume. Do you ever look at YM? Not really. No. Almost never. I got waxed on Globex IB longs. Yeah, the sad part about the IB longs last night too for Globex where they missed. I'll go and pull that up on MNQ. They missed the full TP by 2 points. So there's our Globex IB. We can go and mark out the high and low. We missed by 2 points, and then I think we had news last night is the issue. do you get? Yeah, Globex is the first hour. So your Globex IB, I just marked it out. It's hour delayed on M&Q's chart, but it's the first hour. And if we're taking a look at last night specifically, it was 2 points away from breaking full TP. We hit 46. Full TP was up to 56. Sorry, we hit 54. Full TP was up to 56. And then we just reversed. One of the rules I have for Globex IB is that when we do trade it, don't hold it through London session. Asia session, sorry, not London session. So when we're taking that trade, if Asia session pops up and we don't really have that significant of a move for Asia, you can kind of get away with holding it. But for the most part, you don't want to hold that trade through Asia session because that's a completely different IB. It'd be like taking the London IB and then trying to take that trade through and holding it through the New York IB because they're two different reads. There's no reason to try and go and hold that. If that makes sense. Yesterday's IB was just unlucky. That's all. That one also had news come out with it. So there's nothing we could have done about the overnight move, but especially yesterday, there's nothing we could have done about what happened with the IB. It was just as unfortunate as it could have been. But M&Q, I'm showing on the screen right now. This is the Globex IB last night. It's the same concept. You're using that first hour break. The only difference with this one is that it's Globex instead of being New York session. That's it. That's the only difference with time frame and anything else that you're holding. Last few days been iffy, all-time highs and cooking us. Yeah, I'll show you the IB from yesterday too. I took this one on stream within the Discord. This was just unfortunate. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have traded it. Is what it is. The continuation that we had on that move was great. It ended up reversing, having a double break, and then it ended the day where it should have been. Same on SPY too, which, to tell the truth, I did end up going and taking on SPY after I took the loss. So I was a little, seeing it instantly reverse like that, it was a little aggravating. So I ended up switching, got my profit back, and ended the day at like 210, 300. So SPY is how it should have played out. We hit the 50, pushed up. Honestly, same thing with last night on Globex as well. Globex hit the 50 to almost the tick. You can see we pulled back at 715 to the 50% mark of the IB, and then we're 2 points away from breaking the top. So I probably should have secured that as well. It was an 18-point win. 28-point win, sorry, not 18. So that one I probably should have secured. But it's the news it's the untimely news that comes out. We have Trump that makes a tweet. Markets are reading it how they're reading it. And then we have CPI that comes out, and CPI does absolutely nothing. As you can see, the 830 candle did. You wouldn't even have known we had CPI without looking at the data, which is ridiculous. And that's the environment that we're in. That's the state of the market that we're currently watching. and waiting for. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. I am at 1,500 on my 50K funded account. Should I take a payout? What's the account? Lucid, Tradeify. 1,500 on a 50K usually isn't enough to take one. Do you use extensions like 0.2 for runners? I know typically 0.2 has a 94% chance of being hit if probable side broke. No, I don't. Once the Abbey's broken, I ended off there. I don't take anything. Tradeify select now. You probably have to take some more, unless it's the daily payout one. You probably have to build it up a little bit more. All right, so going over to our explanation or expectation for today. I'm saying gap fill by size, not really that big of a chance. We have a 0.7% gap down on Qs and a 0.3% gap down on SPY. SPY is the better one. Qs is not. Qs only has a 50-50, but we've only had 6 gaps of that size, so it's not really that significant of a 50-50. Go over to SPY, 0.3% on that one. We have a 70% chance to fill that. So what I'll assume happens in the open. Now we do have the data wick low to take out as well. That's still in play. I'd assume that we probably go up, take that high 739.18, and then maybe sweep down to take those lows, and we go and see 735.40, a little bit lower. If not, we hold up. QQQ also still has that data wick low in place, but not really that significant of a chance to go and fill that gap. However, over the past 6 months, we've only had 6. 3 of them have filled, 3 of them have not. So it's a decent chance that we do go and fill that. All in all, I'm not really anticipating much for volatility into open. I don't think that we're going to get that large of a continuation. I think for the most part, what's going to happen is we hang up where we are right now, probably have a chop into the rest of the day. And then if we do happen to have, I think we have the debt limit today. Is that tomorrow? No, never mind. Scratch that. We don't have any more data coming up. We have the federal budget, which that one could be significant. It depends on what news comes out with it from Powell, or if there's any kind of indications from Powell or Walsh now. And then tomorrow we have PPI. PPI and CPI, as I've been stating, we have no significance, 0 significance in data anymore. I know it's pretty sad to say, but because everything is where it's expected to be, we don't have a reason to have volatility with newsprints. So anytime that we have this news come out, specifically, we're looking at PPI, CPI, NFP, FOMC. CPI came out at 2.8% this morning. The lowest it can possibly go is 2%. That is in a perfect world, really 2.5%. In a perfect world, it does not go any lower than that. It's impossible for it to go lower because that is the standard inflation year over year, regardless, month over month, regardless. It cannot physically go lower than that 2.5, 2.0% if you want to be ideal with it. So coming in at 2.6, 2.7, that's arguably as close to perfect as we can get. So we have no volatility to come out with that news. Same with PPI, 0.3% for core PPI. The lowest that can go is flat because that's a read based on what CPI comes out as. So if CPI is 2.6, that means PPI is implied to be either 2.3 or In this case, because it's over, it would be 2.9. Everything, as I was stating yesterday and last week, everything comes off of the consumer. The consumer is the one that is willing to spend the money on specific items, specific merchandise. If the consumer is not willing to spend money, then there's no reason for CPI or PPI to go up. If the consumer is willing to spend money, then CPI and PPI goes up a little bit. But yeah, that's all we have for implied volatility off data. And you can see it pretty easily going over the chart. 735.40 popped up to 737.07. That's it for the move. Now I am going to add VWAP onto my chart today. I don't need the bands on it. We're just going to be looking at VWAP. We'll see if we can get Dan Cook to convince me a little bit more. Everyone in chat's probably going to be pretty excited about this. A little addition to the chat. VWAP. So low volatility with red folders is the status quo, and you think that could change? Last time, so just for a point of reference, when we had all the issues that we had with COVID, we had all the issues that we had with implied volatility across the option chain market, COVID itself, we will never see CPI like that again unless we have another pandemic or something along those lines. We will never see a war could maybe bring it in as well, but as you see with the conflict going on right now, there's not really any volatility coming in there either. So I mean, it is what it is. We don't have anything out of the ordinary that's coming in. We don't have any implied volatility because everything is baseline. There's no point in knowing. There's no way to know, okay, we're going to start pivoting from this level because CPI is going to start increasing at this frequency on these days, and these days it's going to increase to this much, and these days we don't know. The whole point that I'm making is that we don't have the volatility that we used to. So all the people that used to play CPI moves, if you are familiar, you take that CPI straddle, you go over and under. So you go over to your Tradeovate chart, which I will be trading on Tradeify today, these funded accounts. 2 minutes into the open, you go over into your CPI move is at 8:30. So you go over into Tradeovate at 8:29 and 50 seconds, put a buy stop and a sell stop 20 points over and under price. In today's instance, you got filled short. You got stopped out almost immediately to the upside. We had a sub 100-point move off of CPI today. So my read going into open, we have the outside day. That's our previous day's low right there on Qs. We have an outside day, inside day actually on SPY. So there's our previous day's low on SPY. Here's our previous day's high. Countered, unfortunately, but QQQ is indicating that we have a push to the upside, which could validate that we have a small continuation push up, maybe a little bit more. What's going on, Kyle? How you doing? The 30-30 gamble, yeah. If you tried using that on CPI recently, you've been getting smoked, and there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. There's no reason to be trading that CPI implied move because there is no implied move on CPI anymore. The same thing with NFP, the same thing with PPI, the same thing with job reports. Everything is baselined. So hopefully you learned a little something there and know not to play data anymore. What's on your VWAP settings? I'm gonna wait for Dan to come in. He's coming in at 10. This is just VWAP. That's all I have. I don't know. I don't have any other settings to it. It's standard deviation, but I don't have any of the band multipliers on anyway. Is that actually moving like that on M&Q right now? Or is the trading view chart all glitchy? You guys see how that was just jumping up and down? Oh, yes. Yeah, I've seen people talk about red folders not hitting like they used to. And see there's an actual reason behind it. Yeah, only reason is because they don't have any significance behind them anymore. That's it. There is our inside day validated on SPY. We just went and hit previous day's low. Before I start taking a trades with VWAP, I'm going to have to relearn how it works, which is a open high, lower close to over 4. That's just VWAP, not VWAP sweep from edgeful. Is there a difference? VWAP sweep, what's the difference on them? Yeah, they're the same anyway. I'll get rid of this one. Might as well use the edgeful VWAP. Looks like they're the same. Custom anchor times. There's going to have to be a lot of learning for me on it, but I will start using it on my chart. So you guys can be excited by that. I've been relearning VWAP as well. 3 years of ICT did a number on me. ICT is that will drive you nuts. I was going to talk about this when Dan jumps on, but every trading strategy works. There's no specific trading strategy that's not going to work for you. It's just dependent on how you're able to grasp that trading strategy. So are you able to repetitively use ICT day in, day out without having mental fatigue? Are you able to do the same thing with the IB? If not, maybe don't trade that strategy. MSCR is doing decently well. Bitcoin's holding over 80K at least. I love Tori's strategy. I don't know what she trades. So we still have that outside day stat in play on Qs. We have a 72% chance to have a reversal back up and go and tag 708.92. It's a pretty significant chance we have that reversal, just dependent on if we want to actually continue up to that level or not. That's a really good bounce. I like that. Used to trade ICT concepts for a while, but it didn't fit with me. I like simpler, repeatable things. Can't read today. Simple, repeatable things and stay out of the 1 minute. Almost got that Newsweek low. Spies acting surprisingly a lot weaker again. Well, I should say no surprise there. Should be able to see a continuation. Also in Tradeovate, you have an indicator pre-2F anchored VWAP. I won't turn it on Tradeovate. That'll be one more thing to have on the chart that I don't need. So far, the IB is set short. Tuesdays, unfortunately, are the worst day of the week to trade it, though. We go over to QQQ. IB for a Tuesday, 50-50 if the highs form first. We ideally want to see the low form first. If the high forms first today, we're not going to take it because of those stats. Hopefully everyone can understand why we're not going to take it and that the stats just aren't looking good at all. For M and Q, but MES is fine. We're not going to take it on NQ today. SPY is okay, as PipT just said. QQQ, not so much. QQQ has been a rough one. SPY has been a lot more consistent with the breaks it's making because of the strength that it carries throughout the day. QQQ, we've had a lot of days recently where it's been very similar to what yesterday printed. We had up, down, up, down, up, down. News comes out. We make a new IB low. And sadly, the only reason that I took a loss yesterday was because I entered at 10:27, which is typically fine. I entered 3 minutes before the IB was set, right here. And then we had a 80-point continuation down in 3 minutes. Barely took the IB low. Made a new IB low prior to 10:30. So the trade itself didn't lose. It was because I entered too early. And then we reversed and went all the way back up. So it's unfortunate, but that's why I lost yesterday. And it fit all my parameters as well. Microsoft down $7. So if you're trading SPY, do you use options? If so, your strike at the money and expiration. Is your strike at the money and what expiration do you use? I don't trade options on SPY. The reason that this is up on my chart is simply because I watch SPY and QQQ because there's no slippage on those charts. That's it. Quite a bounce there. Pro versus Flex for 25K. Pro. Lucid Pro all the way. Tuesdays used to be God. Tuesdays were so good. Tuesdays were so incredibly good for the IB, and now we're stuck with this mess. Nothing works on Tuesdays for the IB anymore. It's not really much that we can do about it, but it is a little unfortunate. Use options 15. Look at this recovery back up. And this is what I mean by SPY not reversing as well as Qs. Look at the strength that we have coming in on Qs now, and SPY is still pretty deep in the red on that first 15-minute candle. This is why QQQ has been so rough for the IB, because the spikes that it's doing up and down, there's not anything that we can do about it, but it pushes kind of irrationally. Which is, it is what it is. It's sad, but we can recover from it. QQQ trying to fill outside day stat. That it is. Just about there. $708.93, $708.90. Our previous day's low is 92. We just hit 708.92, so it's hit. Outside day stat validated on Qs. And there we go. Just in case it wasn't. We're broken over now. I don't know what that view up in the top right is, but I'm going to leave it on there. So with that push, if it maintains, that would be extreme. The low form first on it, yeah. So with the IB right now, SPY is indicating a low break. So SPY's high was formed first, the low was formed second. QQQ, low was formed first, high was formed second. So they're currently countered. And with that being said, there's not much that we can do until they start lining up. But when they do start lining up, then we can start playing it to that respective direction. And we'll be A-okay. Diverge time to play both can't be wrong stat. Yeah, if David is in here, he would like that. For anyone that doesn't know what that means, when we go over to edgeful AI, we type in diverged IB for the initial bounce on NQ and ES, when NQ is indicating a breakout and ES is indicating a breakdown, where the stats that the initial bounce plays out correctly for both assets. It is, here's our table, 0 out of 7 instances. And I can go in, copy and paste this, analyze reports. We'll analyze it over the past 6 months so we can get an updated stat on this. We'll go over to NQ. So this is how you go and type in the diverged AI stat on edgeful. Look up initial balance breakout, standard, ES, analyze that. Initial balance breakout, standard, NQ, analyze that. As long as standard is selected, it analyzes all the other sub reports as well. So you don't have to worry about going in and clicking IB by rejection. So analyze those. Once it loads and gets all the data from those 2 reports, then we can go in here and we can copy and paste our prompt and then go and type that. So now it's collected all the data on the right, and it shows the breakout, breakout, double break, breakout, breakout. Analyzing a report right now. It's updated the time frames. A longer window will give you a much larger sample size. Right now, you're working with roughly 7 occurrences. So it's the same rolling 7 that we've had. For 2 to 3 years, we see 40 to 60 plus divergent days, but that's also a lot more data. Once you attach the extended data, I'll run the analysis right away. So we can go and analyze the report, and we can do it for 2 years, since this is what the prompt is telling us to do. Analyze for 2 years. and we'll get a much better read on what happens when they're diverged. But Q's is a lot stronger now. SPY is also kind of coming up to go and take a new high, possibly. Because NQ formed new IB low in the very last second, SPY broke the high. Yeah. There we go. AI, edgeful AI thinking. This should take a minute or two. Then once I get a little ding that refreshed, we'll go and look at what the stats are saying. But as it stands right now, we don't have anything to play with that. So we just hold off. We wait. $7.10 right now. Okay, there we go. So over the past 2 years now is the data we're looking at. We've had 511 total trading days, 29, and it looks like it's about the same. It says 5.6% of trading days. Get this little scroll bar. There we go. So we went up to our first chart, and this one was 7 out of 6 months worth of trading, so 120-ish. I don't know why it doesn't tell me the stat there. I'll do the math myself. 7 divided by 125. That should be a decent rough estimate. So, yep, 5.6%. The same exact stat as the 2-year measure. So 5.6% of all trading days results in divergence, like what we're seeing right now, where we have the high form second on Qs, but the highs form first on SPY. 5.6% of all trading days. Of those 5.6% days, 29, only 5 of them had both playing out in the correct direction. Meaning, not only is this a rare enough occurrence, it happens 5.6% of the time, so it happens about 1 out of every 20 trading days. But this also only happens to have a 17% win rate, meaning that we have a 1 in 5 chance, a little bit under a 1 in 5 chance of being able to correctly guess which one is going to break out in the right direction. 17% of the time, they both break out in the right direction. 83% of the time, they do not. And there's little to nothing that we can do with that. SPY was formed to break the high, and it did. You talking about yesterday? SPY worked out yesterday, yes, but QQQ went and validated the IB. And that's, of course, the one that I took the trade on. I ended up taking a loss on that. "17% of the time, it works every time." Yes. 17% of the time, it works every time. Trump speaking now, too. Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? Right at the IB midpoint right now in Qs, and we're almost at a new IB low in SPY. Yeah, yesterday NQ made a new low in the last few seconds. It was disgusting yesterday. It was a beautiful 50% entry. I never saw green on the trade. As soon as I entered, I had my limit buy set at 1023. It went and filled. And unfortunately, as soon as we got the fill, it just spiked down 80 points in 3 minutes. Absolutely nothing that could have been done. That was, yeah, very unfortunate. Oh, no, sorry. I was talking about the IB that we took during New York yesterday. Not Globex. Globex last night kind of stunk too. Daily loss limit, I trade whenever IB range is 1 to 2 micros. Yeah, that's my daily loss is usually 2 losses. So after I take 2 losses, I'm done. Let me get we got Dan Cook coming on in a couple minutes. Let me make sure I go and send him the join link. Should have sent him that a little while ago, but there we go. Oh, another disgusting IB. You just made a new IB low in SPY. We can also try looking at gold. Gold doesn't usually like to play nice during New York, but we'll give it a look. Just keep dropping. Then turned and broke the high. Yeah, it is what it is, man. My allergies were acting up a little bit this morning too. There we go. Okay, we'll have Dan on shortly, another 6 minutes or so. Does this IB? Yeah, the IB works with London as well. 1 loss is okay, but if it's 4 in a row, my DD is getting very thin. I diversify the accounts that I trade the IB on. I don't trade Globex IB on. If I trade Globex IB on Lucid, I don't trade New York IB on Lucid, which is why I have the Tradeify accounts up right now. In Tradeify, I took a short on gold just before. That was where my profit came from. But the fees on Tradeify are ridiculous. You're telling me I lost $10 or $16, $15.60 trading 2 micros from slippage and whatever else happened. But I like to diversify the accounts that I trade on with the respective IB. So if I'm trading Globex IB on Lucid, I'll trade New York IB on Tradeify. If I'm trading vice versa, then I'll just switch the accounts around. But I don't like trading the same account for Globex. What time do you use for London IB? London IB is 3 to 4. That's the time frame for London, 3 to 4. So you can go to, I'll go and bring it up on MNQ instead of going on the Trade chart. So we go to, you can also do it for midnight open. I just talked to someone yesterday within the Discord that was using the IB for midnight sessions. They are from Thailand, so they wake up at like 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock New York time, PM, by the way. And they trade the overnight or midnight open. So if you go to last night, and this isn't me explaining the strategy, this is me explaining someone else's model for how they use it. They'll trade this time frame. So that's 2100. What am I doing? Way off. Need to go to 23. Okay. So there's our midnight open. We had the high form first, low form second. So you're targeting the low. This one doesn't look like it offered an entry. You broke it pretty much right at 1 o'clock in the morning. For London session, it is 3 a.m. to 4 o'clock. MNQ is delayed by an hour for whatever reason. This one looks like it did not play out this morning. It barely broke the low and then one just chopped for the rest of the pre-market move. But I love seeing all the different variations on people trading that IB and how they, there we go. We actually, we got them lined up now. QQQ took a new, beautiful. It's a lot better than it was. I like it. Correct. Correct. Yeah, no problem. Let's catch up on, am I using VWAP? Yeah, I do have VWAP in my chart now. Can I tell the indicator for the IB? It is through edgeful initial balance breakout indicator. I also have IB by levels on here just in case we have an extension. And then the one I just added on this morning is edgeful VWAP suite. Do I use the opening candle continuation? Yeah, but I don't need to look at the report. The opening candle continuation report is pretty much the same on any given day. I do have it on. Oh, it looks like I actually took it off my bookmark. I'll go and pull it back up. It's pretty much the same stat regardless every day. So if you have an opening green candle, you have a 70% chance that it's green. If you have an opening red candle, you have a 70% chance just about that it's a red day. And this is over 6 months. And there is more than enough data on both sides to validate the 70% stat. So I know if we have, for today on SPY, our first two 15-minute candles are red. That's a 30-minute opening candle to the downside. So we know that we should have a red day, but it's kind of self-explanatory when you're already gapped down 0.6%. We did just take out the Newswick low as well on both SPY and Qs. Lovely to see that. Let's see if Dan's having any issue coming on. Zinc, I made a multi-session IB indicator for New York, Globex London. It shades the IB either green or red based on the extreme. Nice. Also plus 10, 25%, 50% extension levels. Very cool. What is Tokyo time frame? Tokyo is 8 o'clock to 9 ET. 8 p.m. to 9 o'clock. That's your Tokyo session. Yep, we're lined up to go and take an IB low now. So we're going to look to go short at the midpoint. I'm sure Dan will shed some light on the VWAP and significance of the VWAP. Send him another link. Eight o'clock to 9 o'clock EST. Yes, sir. There he is. Once he gets his screen and mic all set up, I'll add him onto the stage. All right, make sure you guys hopefully have plenty of questions for him again. You guys loved having him on the stream last time. So welcome in Mr. Dan Cook.
Morning. How are you?
Good morning. Or good afternoon.
Or good afternoon, good evening, wherever everybody is. It's evening for me anyway.
Stats for breaking the low on NQ for Tuesday are terrible. Not too bad, actually. That's if the high form. Never mind. You are correct. I thought it was if the low form first. Yes, the stats for breaking the low today are rather poor. Welcome in, Dan. You've been crushing it recently.
It's nice at the moment. That's the way trading works, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember like end of April, I was on like a 3-day losing streak. So that was like my worst streak of the year, and then quickly bounced back towards the end of April. 2 wins, then 3 wins in May as well. So on a bit of a winning streak at the moment. So it's just the way it goes, isn't it, with trading? So I am well overdue a loss. I am very, very. I shouldn't think like that. It's the wrong way of thinking entirely. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, 5 winning days in a row now. A loss is coming. A loss is coming.
I
so
do the same thing.
I just have to lose well when it comes. I have to be a good loser and I have to lose well. The last time I had one of my best winning streaks, I lost terribly. It was just a big losing day. So it's one of those where we'll see how it goes when the loss comes. Not that I'm wishing a loss upon myself, obviously.
Yeah, I got you. All right.
How are you doing
well,
anyway? How's your week been?
Not too bad. IB hasn't been working that well this week for me. To start, we had 2 losses, Globex and New York yesterday.
Okay. What
But
time
it's
is
okay.
Globex for you again?
Globex is 6 to 7 o'clock ET.
Yeah. Okay.
And last night
For
it was
me,
2 points away from hitting the TP. Yesterday was just unfortunate. I lost because I got in too early on the IB. I front ran it, and then of course it just kept free falling. Not really anything I could have done about it. Dropped 80 points in no time at all.
Yeah. I looked on financial juice afterwards, and I think at the time it dropped, Trump was speaking as well at the same time. I don't know if that was it. I think when I looked
I'm
at the
not
exact time of his messages, it was like the mention of Project Freedom, and it just tanked massively yesterday.
Right.
So yeah, so there's not much really you could do when it goes like that for sure.
Not sure if you saw my chart. I do have VWAP on today.
Oh, you do? I'm so proud. I have
VWAP on here, but doesn't look like a very good day to initiate the VWAP. It looks exactly like it did yesterday morning.
Yeah. Or maybe it is a good day.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna show you, maybe it's super
we go
flat.
up and smack at the IB 50 and then go down.
Could do. It's M&Q's aligned a lot better now compared to what it was at the start. It was divergent, wasn't it, at the start?
Yeah, it was a rough day to start.
Yeah, it's one of those at the moment where, would I describe today as a super high quality day?
No,
not really.
Even just based on the data, we have a very poor chance. I'm not going to take the trade on Qs. I will maybe try it on SPY. QQQ, basically 50%.
Yeah.
But SPY's at 75.
SPY's cleaner. It's a bit cleaner, SPY.
Yeah. 75 for Tuesday. So a question that I wanted to ask you, I did see one of your tweets regarding the IB25. Was it from Friday or yesterday? It may have been from yesterday for QQQ. So how do you, is there any way that you can see before your entry, if you want to pull up your screen, feel free, that you identify, like yesterday, I think it was your tweet from yesterday. You said, if you trade the IB25 today, you get smoked. I didn't trade it because the VWAP is looking like this. Is there any way that you can go into a little deeper explanation on not taking those trades?
Yeah, let me just, let me get my, okay. Can you see my screen, yeah?
Yep, I'll add it on.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yesterday, what I, let's see, let me just, okay. So say now, if we just reverse this to the time when I'm starting to think of a trade here. So let's go like 10:05, okay? And at this point, what I'm not loving with this at the moment, first of all, is, I mean, I'm using the 5-minute time frame, but what I'm not loving straight away is this big, huge candle just here. This candle on my chart at the moment, it makes the low and the high of the initial balance. Already for me, when, in any sort of back testing I've done, when that situation happens, it's a case of I'd rather just wait for more information. So already at this point, this was what, 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday. I'm thinking I need more information. And then if we just,
that's awesome. I never added that confluence in. So if that's kind of like the orb, if it's just, and you're on the 5-minute time frame right now, if you're looking at the 5-minute and you see that first candle form both the high and low, you either won't take it or you want to see a little bit more of a continuation.
Yeah, it's just I'm so reliant on the IB formation, and with that there, if I just go back here again, it's just not clear at all. And then I'm also looking as well at the candles in regards to the VWAP. So I'm looking here and there's candles that have closed below here. And now if we go along a bit more as well, there's candles closing above as well now. So for me, just using the VWAP very simply, there's sellers try to take control, buyers try to take control. there's just a mix here at the moment. And it's just, for me, it's just not very clear. And even if you're not confident yet reading, or, you know, candles closing below, candles closing above, just look at the VWAP slant, the slope. For me, that is just super, super flat. And I think it just gets even more flat as the session goes on as well. And that's there. If I was going to trade the IB25, that would have been my entry just there. Right there, probably. If I was going to trade it just purely systematically, you know, like I said, the IB formation is not clear anyway, but this is the IB25, entering it there for it to go, you know, and break the IB high. But for me, because it's so choppy, it just feels 50-50.
That's awesome.
And of course, what it does then, it does literally smash lower. So it's one of those where it feels nice when you call a flat VWAP and then it doesn't win. But there's another side of that as well, is that you have to, or I have to accept when I'm trading this sort of system and I'm using the VWAP a lot, is that there are going to be days when the VWAP is flat and it's going to end up continuing to go higher and it's going to break the IB high. And that's where I'm going to have people on social media come and tell me, oh, you missed the trade. And it's one of those where I have to be okay with that.
Yeah, you know what? That happens all the time in here.
Yeah, for sure. So it's, you know, in all honesty, I'm still getting used to that, you know, that feeling of, you know, FOMO, of trying not to take the trade. But the more experience I get under my belt, the more I'm just realizing these sort of 50 trades, when they lose, yes, I lose money, which is, you know, bad, but I think worst of all, it's the psychological, the mental capital that I've lost that day, because I knew it was a low quality setup, knew it, took it, lose it, and then thinking to myself, damn. And then it's just a lot of hating upon myself, because it's just like, I knew I shouldn't have taken it. And yes, the money lost that day is bad, but the mental capital, I find it hard to recover from that, you know? So for me, it's just not worth it at all. So that's what I was looking at yesterday with it. But ES was beautiful in terms of
ES was much better.
Sort of, you know, if you look at the difference here, I mean, this is just, you can see first of all the slope of the VWAP beautifully going up. Not a single candle has closed below that VWAP, not a single candle. So if you're shorting that, then I don't know what to say, because based on my system, it's just I could never find myself to short that. I'd be on the wrong side of the VWAP, going against the trend of the candles for, you know, the first hour of the session. I'm just basically calling the top if I'm going to short it here. But this was a beautiful one. But because NQ is choppy, you have to accept that if you're going to take an IB25 entry around about here, then you may have to sit through a bit of chop, because the indices are not aligned, and you do here, and you have to go through the little moment of, oh my goodness me, it's going lower. I'm wrong, but it just bounces off that VWAP beautifully. And that's why I love the VWAP. You can't ignore the VWAP, because you just see price. The what? Yeah, for sure. It's a beautiful bounce off the IB50 for sure. IB50 yesterday was the better entry, no doubt about that. For that. And I think I said that to you last week as well. You took an IB50 trade, I took an IB25 trade, and I sat through a lot of drawdown before I eventually got my entry. So it's just the pros and cons of IB50, IB25. I've got a question for you though, right? Because I get a lot of people asking me this, and I'm not entirely sure of the answer, right? So when would you, because you took an IB25 trade on Friday, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. Congratulations.
Thank you.
With that, you've got the IB50, which is your bread and butter, but you've got the IB25, which you're looking at now as a possible one. So when would you choose to trade the IB50 versus the IB25?
It's all dependent on the size of the range that we have and how relatively strong or weak the chart is. So for today, probably not going to take the IB low. I'll pull up my screen real quick again. Probably not going to take the IB low on Qs, because our stats just aren't telling us that we have. I always make sure I look at the weekly stats as well. So Friday, I took it at the IB25 1. So we go and look at Friday's price action. Pretty large range, right?
Yeah.
SPY did end up hitting the 50%, but that was well after QQQ broke. If we go to QQQ for Friday, look at the size of the range that we had and how strong the chart was the entire time. Now, I know I didn't have VWAP on at the time, but looking at VWAP now from Friday, it was even stronger as well. But we had a 699 to 707 range, and it's about 40 points per dollar on QQQ. So $7 range, 280 points. That means from the midpoint, I'll get 140. From the 25, I ended up getting about 75 points, I think. Where if we go and look at today, one, the data is not really that good. But two, if we look at the data from Friday, with the low forming first on a Friday, we had an 80% chance to go and take the IB high. On SPY, I believe it was even a little bit higher at 86. Data was very strong to the upside. The range was massive. We're probably not going to get a corrective move to the IB 50. Now that I do have VWAP on, I can see that VWAP would have also stopped it prior to getting the IB 50. It would have bounced probably at 703, just a little bit above the 50%, and then pushed up. So I took it at 50% of the IB, and I was already green for the day as well. So that 700 profit that I made on Friday wasn't off of just that IB 25. I wasn't risking 700, or I wasn't risking 1500 to make 700. I was risking 300, 600. Sorry, not 300. I was risking 600 to make 300. So it was a negative risk reward. But the data was indicating that we have a break to the upside. The range was huge. Going over to today, we're looking at a 710 to 705. So it's about 180 points to 200 points for the range in the IB. But the data is telling us that we have a very, very weak chance of having a correct break on a Tuesday. So today I'll probably take it on SPY because SPY is the one that is indicating better data, but QQQ and SPY also have a very tight range. We had CPI this morning, so I'm going to wait all the way until the 10:30 close. No reason to front run it. That's the thought process I go through trading the IB 50 and IB 25. Now, I typically don't trade the IB 25. I just worked it in on Friday because it looked so clean. We had the data indicating such a strong break to the upside. And I also said to myself, if this loses, I'm just going to blame Dan.
Fair enough. Well, it was beautiful in the end. I mean, you sat through basically no drawdown whatsoever. So
I had maybe 4 points in drawdown in that trade, if that.
Yeah. So you look at size of initial balance plus edgeful data to sort of,
Yeah, really everything that I emphasize is off the data.
Yeah.
If I am taking a trade, any random trade, and it's essentially a 50-50 outcome, right? Now, if I go and look at the data for SPY and it's saying if I go short right now at 50% of the IB, I have a 75% chance of winning instead of a 50% chance.
Yeah.
QQQ, it's basically 50-50, so I might as well flip a coin for today on Qs. But SPY is indicating a much stronger confluence on data, so I'm going to take that one. If it ends up losing, it ends up losing. We'll have a rough week this week, but in the end, it's me putting my stress on the position, on what edgeful data is showing me, and not, okay, I'm flipping a coin. I do have this strong confidence play to the downside, but it's the same as me going and saying I have the strong confidence play on black versus red hitting. So there's no point in putting that much money on the line.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's one of those where there's just the beauty of, because you're very much a data man, aren't you? Everybody can see that, and it's one of those where you go to anybody in the street and you say to them, right, you got a 75% chance of winning this coin flip now. Will you take it? If you win, you're going to get $300. If you lose, do you know what I mean? Most people are going to take that bet, aren't they? They're going to take that bet.
Yeah.
Anybody on the street. So for us traders, knowing you're going into a trade and you're clicking a button and you're thinking it's going to, I've got a 70% chance of winning, and it loses, you can walk away,
Yeah, absolutely. I walk away
happy.
on
Not
a
super
high
happy.
note.
No one ever goes away happy, no matter how much data is behind it. But
And based on you just mentioned this, it feels really good when you call the play being wrong. So I did this last week, and I there's always so much flack that comes in from chat because when it wins and I don't get in the trade, everyone's like, it's a mechanical approach. You need to just enter anyway. Why are you doing this? It wasn't. Let's see if I can find it here real quick. Here was another really good IB25 that I didn't take, but I did watch. It was on Tuesday. I can find it from last week real quick. I don't think it was any of the double breaks. It was the day that we were like 20. There we go. So Thursday, April 30th, it was 2 weeks ago. I took longs to the IB high. I didn't take shorts. I took longs at the IB midpoint. And I seemed like a genius at the time for taking the trade, even though I should have been indicating a downside break. We had all the data form. We had a massive range. VWAP was slanted down, which, again, I wasn't using at the time. I'm just adding that in for shits and giggles. Why did I take the trade when I did? I took it because we had SPY indicating a break to the upside. SPY broke at about 11 o'clock. QQQ still had 25% of the IB to go. But when the IB, and this is a couple times, I don't know if you have any insight on this as well. Anytime the IB misses the PT, it happened to me last night for Globex as well. Anytime the IB misses the TP by like 4 to 10 points, and then you see a massive reversal on the very next candle, it usually goes and breaks the opposing direction.
Yeah. It's not a trade. Yeah.
Times.
It's not a trade I would take yet. Do you know what I mean? But I agree with you. It feels like that, doesn't it?
If we go back to April 30th, it feels really good when you call it, but when you stay out of a trade that would have risked mental capital, and then everyone in the chat jumps on you. Like, this is what I'm talking about, though. You missed the TP, so you got your IB25 entry. You were 16 cents off breaking the low, which would have been maybe 7 points, 6 to 7 points. And then you have a massive reversal. You have an engulfing candle. You have a continuation all the way through VWAP, all the way up to 75% of the IB. So you're 4 points off of breaking your IB, hitting your TP, and then it reverses with that amount of strength, the upside. Most of the time I lose on these trades. Unfortunately, I don't size into them appropriately, and then I ended up losing more than I should because it continues to reverse like that. But it happened maybe 4 or 5 times to me. That's just an observance from knowing, hey, I trade the same model every single day. I know when it's kind of like a gut feeling, it's not going to play out in the correct fashion.
Is that a trade you take? That reversal trade? You said you took it or you didn't take it?
I did take it on that day, but most days I wouldn't take it. Most days I'd be in the trade. I'd secure my TP. I had one in here about 2 weeks ago as well. Brian should remember because I think he held the trade after I got out, where I was in the IB to the downside. It ended up breaking to the upside, but I secured my profit because I made like $180 in maybe 3 minutes, and then it ended up reversing, going and taking the IB high. Also, sorry if my chatting made you miss your trade here, but we have I'll pull your screen back up if you want to look at your chart. We have a very good entry for the IB25, maybe even just over the IB25.
On ES, on SPY for sure. I'm mostly trying to stick though to MNQ though. I'm trying to stick to just one asset. I've played around with the idea of flipping from MNQ to MES, and for me at the moment it's just another decision that I don't want to be making. I know that sounds lazy, but it's just I go on a lot about decision fatigue, and I'm just trying to make sure my process every single day is as simple as possible. And so for me, if I'm just focusing on executing on one asset, it just keeps it really simple for me. And I'm just like with today, with us having, candles closing above, having candles closing below. The VWAP is now super flat. It's just, this is not a high quality setup for me. And it may be one of those days today where literally price does this and it just hits the IB25, carries on going and breaks the IB low. That's where people tell me should have been in it. And they could have some argue for that, but for me, it's just, I'm looking at the VWAP. I'm looking at the closures of the candles. I'm also looking as well at the Mag 7 as well. So I'm looking up, because if you're trading NQ, you've got to be looking at the stocks, in my opinion, as well, just keeping an eye on them at least. You've got Amazon down 1.4%. You got Meta up 0.7%. Do you know what I mean? It's just a mix here at the moment. Some of them are up, some of them are down. So for me at the moment, this is just not a high quality day for me. And it may,
I'm going to take the short today on SPY if we get a midpoint entry. So we're not just, based on your question there, chat, we're not just talking today. I am going to take the short. I'm not taking it on Qs. QQQ is indicating a 50% stat. SPY is indicating a 75% stat. So I'm not going to take the play on QQQ. I'm going to take the play on SPY. And what we could see with QQQ's data being so low, we've seen it for the past 4 Tuesdays in a row, shockingly. SPY goes and breaks the correct IB range. QQQ does not, and then it ends up reversing and taking the opposing side. That's why the stats are so low for a Tuesday. But for days like this, I wait when the data, like what you're saying, it's not a high quality setup for you. I won't go and front run the trade in that instance. So I'll wait all the way until 10:30 for the IB to close, wait for it to hit the midpoint. If it doesn't hit the midpoint and it's not a high quality setup, so be it. If it goes and takes the full IB to the IB downside or IB low, whatever, it is what it is. No harm, no foul. So being flat or net zero for the day, I see absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. It's one of those as well where for me, it's just, I am more than happy to just walk away green. Walk away flat for the day. Because I talked about this in a previous YouTube video of mine. It's like if I just show my calendar for March, you can see here, I took 18 trading days, a lot of red, a lot of green, but a lot of red as well, taking low quality trades, mixed in with high quality trades. And the P&L was just about green for the moment. That's copy traded across numerous accounts, but just about green. And then with April, literally half the amount of days, exactly, double the amount of profit. It's almost like I purposefully made that. I promise I didn't. It just literally just turned out like that.
For that month, what was your mental state like?
For April?
Yeah, for April versus March, how was your mental capital?
Yeah, for March, it was just a roller coaster. And some of these red days were big as well, 2 over 1,000. Some of those, it's just an absolute roller coaster in March. I've come off the high of February, getting loads of payouts, which is great. Thinking I'm the, king of the IB now, sort of thing, and then the market tells me, "Oh, simmer down," and had to go into April thinking, just come on, you've got to take high quality setups. And I talked on X yesterday about, because I trade negative risk to reward, and I think when you're trading negative RR, the quality of the setups you take have got to be high. They've got to be good. They got to be good, high quality setups, and you got to be willing to cut them when the trade is going against you. I think those are the 2 most important things when you're trading negative R. And for me, April was just it was a challenging month, April, to some extent. Because look at this week here, from Monday the 6th of April to Friday the 10th. Do you know what I mean? I had to sit on my hands a lot that week. It was my poor wife having to listen to me complain because I've not taken a trade here, not taking a trade, and I'm okay with not taking a trade, but there's always that feeling deep down where it's like, oh, when am I going to get my next trade, and it just, the results from April just kind of just showed me, come on, you've got to be patient,
Yeah.
you know. And then this is made for me so far at the moment now. So just being patient
Speaking
again,
of,
you know.
we just took a new IB low on SPY. GoBot just said front run the IB for 400 with IB 50. Very nice. Yeah, I was just looking at the 1 minute chart. I'm going to steal the screen back here. I was looking at the 1 minute chart. It would have been 1 minute early for my front run. And keep in mind, guys, the reason that I don't change these rules for front running the IB, yesterday on SPY would have been perfect waiting for 10:30. Yes, absolutely. This is all in hindsight. If we go and take that trade at the same time frame yesterday on Qs, and again, we didn't take the trade on QQQ today because the stats were saying 50-50. We could have gotten the front run entry at 10:25. This would have been a drop of about 120 points, 100 points maybe on the dot. What happened yesterday, though? You can't go and pick and choose which days you're going to front run, which days you aren't. Yesterday, I listened to all my rules. I entered at 10:26, 10:27. I got stopped out at 10:29 and 50 seconds. It took a new IB low. So I lost, not because the trade was invalidated, but because I front ran the trade too early. It ended up taking a new IB low, which indicates we should have taken the IB low anyway, as opposed to going and taking the high. And then for today, the only reason that I didn't take it for today was because the stats on QQQ were indicating, as I've covered all morning, 50%, 45%. This is not statistically significant. This is not an advantage to us to take that trade. SPY is the one I missed. A little disappointing there, but this one hit 1 minute before the front run time frame, 10:23. Simple as that. There's nothing that I can't go and pick and choose which days I'm going to respect my rules and which days I'm not, because that will not lead to profitable trading at all. And looking at Dan's P&L chart, I just had a tweet about this last week. If you can sit at your chart, you can sit at your desk for 2 hours and not take anything, you will be a profitable trader. If you struggle sitting at the chart, as you can see, I haven't taken anything. There's no entries on M&Q. There's no entries on MES. This is naked today. The only one that I had was MGC this morning. Shorts on a retest. Trend was to the downside. Don't need to go over the validation for that. But just saying, if you can sit at your desk for 2 hours and not take anything, you will be profitable. If you struggle to sit here and not take trades, and then you find yourself in a subpar trade, not only does that reassure bad habits, but it also means that you're never going to be able to not take a trade each day. And then you'll have a chart that looks, this isn't me hating on your March, Dan, but you won't have a chart that looks like March. You'd much rather have a chart that looks like April, wouldn't you?
And then this is the problem with like social media. I always say it, you know, you go on social media and you see these beautiful P&L calendars, which are like green, 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 green on every single day. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that is the level. That is like what I need to be getting. And if I don't get it, then I'm not getting to that level yet. I think you need to let that go. Just Absolutely. Focus on just executing your system, having a simple system, like I always say, but also as well being very, very clear on the days that you don't trade. You know, Absolutely. I think you need to be clear on the days you do not trade, and it needs to be simple and it needs to be repeatable so that you can turn up each day and be very clear on what the rules are that you're following. I think that's really important. It was kind of like one of the last pieces in the puzzle for me, I suppose, you know, in terms of just getting more consistent profitability, because I remember like in like mid to late 2025 be like getting some profitable weeks going, but then having red days because taking low quality setups, feeling like I needed to come on and trade every day, you know. And Absolutely. You'll hear so many people, won't you, talk, not just on this stream, but if traders listen to any other streams or they listen to any other traders will say the same thing. They'll say, you know, it's not a 9 to 5 job. You don't need to take a trade every day. It's all about, it's paying your patience and stuff and all that. And as traders and any people learning to trade, you'll nod your head at that and you'll accept, yeah, okay, yeah, that's that's correct. That's correct. I should do that. Yeah. But then you sit down at your desk, you spend time to sit down at your desk to trade, and then suddenly all that logic that you were nodding your head at goes out the window because you're feeling like, well, I'm here now. I've got to trade, you know. It's funny how it works, isn't it?
Very funny. And you have people, it's ridiculous, but you have people that will sit here and they'll say, I just saw a tweet about this yesterday, actually. Some guy said, I constantly see on, this is the exact tweet, I constantly see these 2K days on funded accounts on X. Why am I trading like such a baby on my funded accounts? You never see what goes on in the back end. So I could come on here every stream, every day. I could have just the funded Tradeify accounts shown, no account numbers or anything. You just see the funded Tradeify 50. And I could have 5K profit, or I could have a fresh account every day. And everyone will come in here and say, man, this guy never loses. This guy never loses. And that's going to contribute. This is why prop firms make so much money, and no one says nay to it, because they want people trading that way on their accounts. They don't want you trading responsibly. They don't want you trading micros. They want you trading every day. They want you trading 5 minis every day, 4 minis every day. That's why they allow you to trade that many minis in each account. If you trade 4 minis on a 50K account, yeah, you're going to make 5K when it goes in your way, but it's very rare that you get a 4 mini entry that does not wick against you. And then you blow your account, you're done for the day.
You just have to look as well. If you look carefully at a prop firm website and you look at how they list the rules, right? Mm-hmm. There will always be a minimum days to pay out rule that will always show. So you need five minimum days to get your payout. That will always show. And also as well, like you said with the contracts, it will always show. On some prop firms, it doesn't even show the micros option, and it just shows the mini option.
Yeah,
and you have to be aware and do your maths of what the micro calculation is, because all firms do micros now, but they won't. A lot of them won't show it, or they'll at least have it in brackets to the side of it. They're tempting you to try and rush this, to go gun-ho at it, and it's not going to serve you in your best interest, but it is going to serve the prop firm accounts with all your reset fees every single time.
So what we could have for another trade today, I see your question right there, Blake. I'm going to answer it after I cover this. We have the, I don't know if Rafshan's in chat today. He's not, but I'm going to steal his strategy anyway. You might like this too as well, Dan. It's the IB by retracement stat. And we'll go over to any size, cover it for all weekdays. So what he looks for, what Rafshan looks for on spying cues, is a retracement to about 30%, 25 to 30% of the IB. For today, we have the initial balance breakdown. So we have a 70-ish% chance, 72 to 70% chance that we go and hit 25% of the IB. So we go and retest back into the IB range. He will take his entry there, and this is another negative RR one for you. So for instance, today he'll take a short entry. He'll have his stop loss at the IB low, and he'll either put his TP at the IB breaking again, or he'll put his TP at the low of day. This is based on just the initial balance standard, that there's only for SPY, there's a 22% chance. That one's a little bit higher, but for Qs, there's only a 16% chance you have a double break on any given day. So it's essentially saying that you have a 16% chance. What chart did I just do it on? There we go. Saying that you have a 16% chance price goes and hits the IB high versus entering on the retracement and looking for it to continue lower. So a nice negative risk reward in that aspect.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Because you just, the data says it all, doesn't it?
It does.
Once again, come to someone on the street, tell them 16% chance of losing. Will you take it? Yeah, hell yeah. I like that.
So that's his.
Have you seen
trade? Go ahead.
Yeah. Have you seen? I saw a video of Jacob's trades the other day. Did you see it? Of how he trades the initial balance?
I did not.
Yeah. Let me show you. So if you put me back up, basically what he's looking for is, unlike me, where I'm looking for the direction towards the initial balance, I'm literally looking for the trade into the initial balance break. What he's doing is he's waiting until after the initial balance break or just after. And I don't know the ins and outs exactly of his strategy, but what he's looking for is some sort of wick outside the initial balance. He then looks for a pullback inside. He's placing stop losses at, swing high or swing low. He's not using the retracement levels. He's using just candles. He may not do this on the 5-minute time frame, but he's basically looking for the if I get on here, you can get it on the initial balance indicator from edgeful, and he does the 0.2 level, which is, if it's going to come up on here, it may take a second to load. It's just loading for me. I think it's my internet more than the indicator itself, I think. But it's around about, it's not going to come on my thing. It's around about there, the 0.2 retracement level. And he's looking for something like that. So negative risk to reward again. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Come on now. So basically, yeah. So that's basically what he's looking for there. It's quite interesting. Nice. I've looked at it in particular, especially on the days where, for my strategy in particular, where basically it doesn't retrace back to the initial, the IB25. It's one of those runaway days, where it's just going higher and higher and higher, or lower and lower and lower, and it just doesn't retrace back at all. And I'm looking at it, that could be a possible play on those sort of days where price is just running away. Do you know what I mean? I'm not one to just go see a strategy and then just trade it straight away. I've been marking it up, putting it in my journal. I would need to do a bit of back testing, which I haven't done yet on it, but it's quite interesting. Just as
it's awesome to see how everyone has their own little twists to the IB.
For sure. It's very cool. I remember you were the guy I first learned about the initial balance from. I remember seeing your post for the first time in like December 2025, something like that. Awesome. Like, I was on holiday for Christmas, and I just remember just seeing your posts on X for the first time, and you were talking about the initial balance and about IB50 and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. So you were literally the guy I first sort of came across with this, and then look now, we're halfway through 2026. There's so many guys, either linked to edgeful or not, trading so many different ways, and it's all backed by data. This is brilliant, isn't it? So many options, and the content that's been putting out there as well, by yourself, by me, by Jacob now, of course, as well. He's putting videos on for edgeful as well. Like, if you're like a newbie trader looking to learn how an edge, it's great for you now, isn't it? Seeing traders give so much access, and edgeful providing all the data. So it's not just a case of we're not just trying to sell you air. It's literally like there's data behind the strategies,
Yeah, and that's how you go about trading profitably, is that you figure out your own strategy. You don't go and trade based on what someone else is doing, because you're not going to get the results. If you want to be a profitable trader, you trade based on your own strategy, how it works with your head, and you trade it based on how you can manipulate, tweak the strategy, so that when you have a question that arises, just like if you're going to bring your car to the mechanic, most people have no idea how their cars work. So they go and bring it to a mechanic. But if the mechanic tells you something's wrong, you're just going to believe them, because you have no idea what the inner workings of your car is. If you trade that way, so yeah, I trade this strategy, I trade the IB, but I honestly have no idea how the IB works. I'm just trading it this way because this is what I was told by Dan or Zinc or whoever's telling me how to trade the IB. When a problem comes up, you're not going to know what the fix to it is. You're not going to know what the solution is.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good one. I mean, I have people all the time ask me. The question is that my favorite question starter I get from people is, do I have to?
Yeah.
Do I have to enter here? Do I have to do this? Do I have to take my profit here? And every time I read that, I'm like, you don't have to do anything. You
No.
know, I'm not some, you know, the system I've created is, you know, based on stuff I've seen from yourself and from other traders, and I've sort of changed it into what makes sense in my head and what I've spent hours and hours and hours back testing and forward
Yeah. So
testing and
like
live
what you
trading.
came into the stream saying, you said, I didn't take the IB yesterday because we had this set up on this time frame. The first candle made both the high and low. If you're trading the strategy based on what someone else is telling you to do, you're not going to have those variations. You're not going to have those learning tools to the IB. You're still going to take the IB on a day like yesterday, and you're not going to be able to say, I'm still taking it, but I don't know why I'm taking it or why I shouldn't be taking it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You've got to make it your own. And I think all traders who first come into the space, I don't know about you, but I felt like this when I first came into the space. It was like, I just need to learn somebody's strategy. And once I learn it and I'm able to repeat what that guy does exactly, I'll be all right and I'll make it.
Also, let me
and
steal the screen again here. Look at that retracement. What we were just talking about. So it hit about 22% of the IB and then just went and revisited the low.
So would that be an entry? Would it?
Yeah, that would have been you barely missed the 25%, but that would have been a short entry, really anywhere from 20% to 25%. So it's a massive negative risk reward, but it's a 16% chance you go and hit the IB high versus like what you just covered with Jacob Trades, having the continuation to the low. And all your odds about continuing to the low. So I think it's a really quality setup. I think it's a really good strategy. It's not something that fits how I trade, but it's yet again just another variation in the IB. So I think it's really cool. It's a cool way to go about trading it. Yeah, sorry I cut you off there. Go ahead. What's going on, Sarah?
That's all right. It's all right.
How are you doing?
I can't remember what I was saying now.
You're talking about
can't be that important. Yeah, basically, you know, it's just you've got to take what you learn from other traders, but then just adapt it over time. And the only way you can adapt it over time is by really putting the work in. You know, really putting those hours in to back test, to adjust it. Because you may look at the way I trade and you think, I don't like it. You know, I don't like front running the IB by 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't make sense. It feels uncomfortable to me. If that's the case, don't do it.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Don't do it. You've got to do what feels comfortable to you. You know, you may want to do, you know, waiting for the IB to set and then you look for your entries. You know, you've got to do what's right by you and what feels right to you. You know,
absolutely.
And you know, and someone will go, well, once you're winning, it'll feel right. And it's, well, no strategy wins all the time. It'll feel good when you win and stuff, but when you lose, do you know what I mean? It's going to be very hard for you to stick with the system. And that's ultimately what trading is all about at the end of the day. You can make it as complicated as you like, but trading is super, super simple. Not easy, but super simple. If you find something you can repeat every day and you feel comfortable doing it and you're able to turn up every day and do it and repeat it consistently.
Or funny enough, Andre was just talking about this earlier last week. He said that if you take a loss and you don't know why you're taking the loss, what's stopping you from over trading for that day and just blowing all your progress from the past several weeks?
Yeah.
So if you don't understand the inner workings of something, going back to the mechanic analogy, if your mechanic tells you that the left flange is broken of your car, it's going to be $800 to fix. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. What's the left phalange, though? You have no idea. But because the mechanic
Phalange. What's that off?
From Friends.
Friends, isn't it? Oh, yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, she says that on the plane. Something about the flange and the plane.
Oh, it's the plane, isn't it? Yeah, of course.
Said something's wrong with the left phalange.
Yeah. Oh, I need to watch Friends again now. I haven't watched it in a while.
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't understand how it works, not only are you need to put the work in to understand how it works, but you're never going to be profitable in trading that strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's just about, because you've got the edgeful data, haven't you? And I think, anyone who's got the edgeful subscription will see so many different reports and so much data to go off. I think it's just about finding that system that you can execute that data off consistently. I keep coming back to it: repeatability, consistency. And also as well, I don't know about you. When I first looked at the edgeful data, it was like I was like in a candy shop. It's like, oh my God, this report showing me 80%. Brilliant. I'll throw that in. What? This report is 90%. Oh, I've got to check that in. It's like putting a burger together, all the different ingredients, and you just you quickly learn you either take too many trades or you'll never take a trade. So just about finding the reports that once again make sense in your mind, isn't it?
Yeah, I say this all the time. You don't go and trade everything all at once. It's very silly to go and do that. So looking through the edgeful reports, I was the same way. I wanted to use the opening candle continuation while also using the IB by breakout, while also using this stat, while also using that stat, and then mixing them all together. Mixing all those winning strategies together, all those winning statistics on edgeful, ended up creating a very, very bad losing statistic. Because you have so many things that are telling you different outcomes. Also, there's the fold strategy on that play. PT down too low of day. QQQ is just about to hit low day at 29,000.
So you didn't take the trade today in the end because it just ran away without you, yeah?
Correct, yeah. That's not my mom.
Yeah. Will you look for like trade later in the day, or are you like, I'm done?
Your mic just spazzed out a little bit there.
Oh. Okay, I'll say it again. Will you look for trades later in the day, or are you like done for the day on days like today?
No, I'll be, for a day like today, I'll be done.
Yeah.
So typically if I go and try to take anything else, it will result in the account being no longer with me. So for a day like this, I'll just buzz off. I won't go and take anything else.
Yeah.
I don't see a point in doing it. I don't see a point in trying to risk a healthy amount of profits. But you can also go and look at the chart right now. You can see, okay, we're jumping 20, 30, 40 points at a time right now for fun. Is that a reliable trade that I want to go and take? Is that something that I want to go and risk my mental capital on? Or is that whatever? I have a gut feeling the trade is going to go in this direction, so I'm going to take in that direction. Not something that I want to take.
Yeah. Interesting. You said mental capital first there. And that kind of says it all, doesn't it?
Yep.
Priority number one, isn't it?
Mental capital above all else.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. It's easy for me because it's like, you can see behind me, it was like daylight and now it's like turning to nighttime. For me, it's like going late into the evening now. It just makes it so much easier for me.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin your night. You don't want to ruin the rest of your day. You made money on the day, or you didn't take anything, but there's no reason that you need to go and force yourself into a position.
No.
So there's no reason for me to go and say, I need to make 200 today. I'm going to make 200 today, and I'm going to find something that's subpar to go and make 200 on. That 200 turns into negative 1,200.
Yeah. And it's one of those though where it just speaking from personal experience, it's really hard to be able to go, I'm just going to walk away here. I'm going to stay flat, because a lot of, I don't know about other traders, but I always felt like I'm falling behind. Like if I don't take a trade today, I'm falling behind. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not moving forward, and it feels like you're falling behind. And then you go on social media and you see everybody post green days, winning days, and like, oh, I have fallen behind. I should have taken a trade. And that's always going to be with you, I think, until you have a month like I had in April, which was fewer trades, much more profit. And when you have results like that on a consistent basis, then it's much easier to walk away. Much easier to walk away.
And
Yeah.
then there's no
I
like
Go
returning
on.
factor. There's nothing that's going to bump you back into getting into those trades once you realize that you are so much happier outside of trading after after you close the laptop or close the screen.
Yeah, yeah. And I would challenge any trader. If you are feeling like you're over trading, you feel like you trade too much, you feel like you're just taking a trade for the sake of it, I would challenge every trader, for a month, just limit your trades. Seriously, just limit your trades. Limit your. If you're really bad with it, because I used to be really bad with overtrading, really bad with clicking buttons, I just set myself a one trade a day.
Because it's so easy to go and click those buttons.
Oh, so easy.
It would be so easy right now to go in with 2 minis and hit your full TP on the day and then walk away.
Yeah. Do you have that temptation in the back of your mind,
or
always.
Is
it like it's not there at all?
Always.
Yeah.
It's always there. I mean, it's not something that goes away. You want to. Everyone wants to make money if you're trading. You want to make as much money as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can. And that's why those tweets on social media do so well. Like, this is what my Tradeify account's going to be sitting at for the rest of the day. And better yet, just click the X button on it. That's the day done. But you go on social media and you go and see this guy just made $2,000. I could probably get up there today. I feel like I'm falling behind him, but your P&L is not. If you blow all your accounts today, your P&L is not going to replicate what his P&L is going to do. He's not benefiting off your P&L. You're not benefiting off your competitor's P&L or a peer, whoever else is actively trading in the space. How do I get out of eval jail? You need to understand what is causing you to be in eval jail. What's causing you to constantly blow your accounts? Is it over trading? Is it you not making the profit that you want to make? And then you go to a day like today and you're saying, I'm going to trade the afternoon where we're making, as I just said, we're popping up and down 40 points pretty easily right now. So are you going to be the type of person that goes and continues to trade that? Or are you going to be the type of person that says, this isn't really it for me today, so I'm going to go on and enjoy the rest of my day? Which group are you in?
Yeah. The thing is, I find a lot of traders who message me, they often say, a large part of it is rushing. They feel like they've got to get it quickly and stuff. I would say as well, these days, there's no real excuse for that anymore. Because you could say before, well, there was the monthly reset fees, right? But it's Lucid don't even do monthly reset fees.
Tradeify
doesn't have fees.
Yeah, Tradeify doesn't have anything. Lucid doesn't have. Everything's one-time payment now, so there's no rush in getting accounts.
Yep.
There is zero reason for you to go and rush to get into an account because there's no. Like Top Step back in the day, sure. When you had 1 month to pass the account, if you don't pass it, then you're paying extra for no reason. Sure, an account like that makes sense for you to go and kind of rush it on the last couple of days. But in the current prop space, no reason to. You can go and buy an account. You can trade it for the entire year if you wanted to, and that's the only payment you're going to have on that account.
It's never been easier to actually learn to trade in a live market, or never been cheaper to learn to trade in a live market. You could literally, if you've never passed a challenge before, you could literally buy a 25K challenge for nothing, trade one micro, not have to worry about monthly rebills, and learn to trade that way. It's slow. And it's going to take you time. You're going to save so much money
and mental,
and I think it's one of those as well where if you think, the more I fail, the more I'm going to get closer and closer. Yeah, but you can do this in a much, much cheaper way if you are willing to give it more time than you think you need. You know, if you've never passed a challenge before and you think I'm going to take 6 months here to pass my first challenge, I'm going to take a month to pass my first challenge. Give yourself much longer. Take it slow and just see the consistency. You know, it's never been cheaper to do. But how many traders can honestly come on here and say, I know, I passed my first challenge by just taking it super slow, 1 micro, learned for 6 months on the same challenge, and then eventually passed? No one.
Pipti is one of the very, very few traders that I've interacted with that has gone and done the eval, purchase the eval, pass the eval, payout within the first $2,000, $3,000 spend.
Who?
Pipti is in chat right now.
Pipti. Yes, I know Pipti. Yeah, that's awesome.
He's one of the very, very few.
Yeah.
All right, I think that is a great point to go and end off on. We don't have anything else to cover for the day. I'm not going to be taking any additional trades. The IV's done, so I'm done for the day. We'll go on to tomorrow. I'll end my day at the profit that I'm at. If it's not enough, so be it. But thank you for coming on today, Dan. Make sure you guys go and drop a follow on social media.
Cheers, appreciate it as always.
Another Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, Thursday. We'll see. But that will do it for the stream today. I will see you guys later.
See you guys.